Norwich's economic future should be to model itself as a British version of Seattle. That's the view of the social futurist Mal Fletcher, who's published his theory with the think tank 2020 Plus, and he's coming to talk about how the coastal city in the northwest of America can point the way at a talk in Norwich next week. Mal Fletcher is on the line to us now. Good evening.
Good evening, Matt.
So, Seattle, on the face of it, the two cities don't have a huge amount in common because Seattle, of course, is a very big place. 6 million people live there?
Yes, almost. Obviously, there are differences in scale between the two centres, but we were actually conducting a study looking at a range of cities, both in Europe and the United States, to find out what common elements turned regional centres, which is what Seattle was, into innovation hubs in a short space of time, particularly in cutting-edge fields of science and tech. And in the process, we identified Norwich as a city that has the potential to become an innovation cluster, particularly in what's called the life sciences, genetics, biotech, and so on.
So what do we mean exactly by an innovation hub, then?
Well, an innovation hub is basically an area that attracts innovative businesses, innovative setups, research and development, and also resources them well. Each of the cities we identified, Matt, as innovation hubs is characterised by several things. One of them is a high graduate retention rate, so the city's calling on a well-trained professional workforce. Norwich already has 40% retention rate for its graduates and the second highest in the country. So that's one area, one box ticked, if you like. There are generous grants in innovation hubs for research and development in specified areas of technology. And I think the momentum surrounding the Norwich Research Park is one example of where we can see investment coming in from outside. We've got several local councils in your city now offering relatively generous grants for startups. And I guess one other thing that I would cite of many factors is digital communication. The east of England is joint second behind London now for the intensity of e-commerce. It's also a region that has the most active online businesses in the UK. So this is some of the areas we identified where Norwich is fairly well set to become a cluster in future.
A lot of work to do, though, because I think of Seattle, I think Microsoft, of course, who are sort of gargantuan, aren't they? Bill Gates comes from there.
Yes, he does. And, of course, Boeing also has a very strong representation there. So, as I say, there are differences in scale. But the principle is that I think a city like Norwich has the potential to become an innovation hub if certain things are in place. Now, there are some areas of work that need to be done. For example, the city, as yet, doesn't have many graduate schemes which ensure that young adults can actually work in the areas where they qualify. So there's some work there. I think Norwich also needs to continue to work on transport infrastructure. Thankfully, you've got the highest number of park and ride facilities in the country, which is good for the environment. But, the widening of the A11, the access road into the city, has to be a top priority, lest we have a perception inside or outside the city of wanting to pull up the proverbial drawbridge. And I think thirdly, the level of leadership, whether it's civic, political or business leadership, needs to rise and continue to rise to match the city's potential to provide a culture in which people are confident to take risks.
Well, Mal, quite soon, next week in fact, next Thursday, you'll be bringing this message, and you're talking to business leaders and people from the councils as well, aren't you?
Yes, I'll be speaking at the 2020 Plus leadership event. It's for all civic and business leaders. We've invited some of the key players in the city and had a great response. And it's on Feb 21, as you say. And if people would like to know more about it, they can go to our website, 2020 Plus, the number 2020, the word plus.net/Norwich.
Mal Fletcher, I don't think I've ever spoken to a social futurist before, so that's wonderful to have you on. Thank you very much for coming on talking to us this evening.
It's a pleasure, Matt.
Mal Fletcher from the think tank 2020 Plus.